Whoa, yes. Serious stuff there. Well, hello everybody, and welcome again to Metaworld News. This week, it is the 16th of January when we are broadcasting and recording this. Who knows what the date will be, or
Who
the century for
knows?
that matter, when you
Right.
actually get back to watching it. Anyway, these are pardon me, these are news headlines, basically, for the week ending today, which is, of course, the 16th of January. And not an incredible amount of volume this week, but certainly a couple of rather important things, especially what happened midweek. So we will come to that in due course. I'm busy looking at my monitor here, and YouTube seems to be lagging quite a long way behind me. But never mind, never mind.
As
Okay,
is
well,
YouTube's want to do. YouTube will do
yeah,
that.
it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
1 week it's fast, 1 week it's slow, and 1 week it's in cloud
Yeah.
19 or whatever they call it. Right. Okay. Well, I'm Mal Burns. That's Mal, MAL, and then Burns, BURNS. It's the second name. But if you want to find me on Twitter and almost anywhere else on the web, you've got to squash me. Yeah, I don't like being squashed, and given the weight I'm putting on, it's even worse being squashed. But that's another matter entirely. So find me on Twitter with twitter.com/MALBURNS, no space required. And we have an additional feed, which is twitter.com/MetaWorldNews, which is kind of more to do with social virtual worlds rather than anything else at the same time. And if you really want, I have twitter.com/wait for it, Mal Burns with a capital, but all one word, then an underscore, and then writer, again with a W in capitals, Mal Burns Writer. And that, I don't think it's my original Twitter, but it's one I set up ages ago for Arts and Destinations in Second Life. And there are a few posts there this week to do with Second Life, which other than Arts and Destinations, which I will come to shortly. So on this rare occasion, I will give you that feed as well, so to speak. But it's mostly videos and lifestyle and places and arts and stuff like that. Right, okay, to get back on track, so to speak. Okay, joining me, of course, at the desk here is none other than James Atlloud. Welcome, James.
Well, thank you, Mal. Here I am again, and
Is
with all the news,
it
it's good
carrot?
to repeat.
And a Sansal t-shirt, including what looks to me like maybe a carrot.
Yeah, it's a carrot. Let's see. Let me throw up the creator information here. This is a store I've not visited before. Kiba Takeshi's store. And so I don't know anything about what this means. I don't know, is this a band? Is it a event? But it says, "Where's the beef?" And it's a strong, muscly carrot. So
Uh,
I like orange and black, a good Halloween color. So that's
yeah, yes, I do like this sort of carrot. Well, I quite like carroty sort of colour. Well, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
fun
Of
shirt.
course, I don't know. But I mean, if it's me as the copywriter, I would say, "Who needs the beef?"
Right, right.
Like, I'm not a carnivore, basically. But there you go. Obviously, Kiba Takeshi probably is a carnivore. Or somebody pinched from elsewhere anywhere. I don't
Right,
know.
right.
You're right. Some people do designs, but actually take the copy from somewhere else, etc., etc. Okay, well, that's all very good.
Mhm.
And the other thing, folks listening at home or watching at home, James, of course, is fiddling with knobs under the desk here. Basically, you can't see his console, but he's he. Maybe that probably sounded inappropriate. I don't know. I've forgotten already. Let's just say he switches between a view of my avatar from one angle, then another, and then from my desktop and video feeds, and he mixes it all together, including the sound too, so that it's marginally more presentable than me as a single talking head. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right.
Right. Okay. What have I forgotten? I've done the date,
I think you've got it
and I've
all.
done the intros. I
Yeah.
think I've done it all. It's broken every code. No, sorry, I'm not. Yeah, that's it. That's the thing I hadn't done. the singing. Right.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to start with our sort of picture posty sort of thing this week, because I've only got a few pictures to show, but they are sort of kind of relevant. Now, the big news of the week, and we'll come to the links for this later, is that Philip Rosedale, who many of you remember as one of the co-founders of Second Life back in, well, Linden World was back in '96.
Yeah.
That's going back a bit. Um, he hasn't been with Linden Lab really since 2010 this week, when he moved on to various other things, including High Fidelity. Well, he's back. Midweek announcement is that he's put more, High Fidelity, his company, has bought more shares in Linden Lab. He's also taken on an official role, but not as a staff person, but as a consultant. And that he wants to be involved in basically advancing underlying technologies, and to work on the idea of getting Second Life to compete with the you know who's. Basically, his idea is that we should be able to rely on sort of land sales, inventories, creating stuff basically, and everything but surveillance technologies and advertising. Yes, basically that ruin our social spaces. It's well, we'll get into that a little bit. I don't know when he's going to pop into the live room and start talking to me about this at the moment, because I thought there might be people out there who had stuff to say. In fact, I might open up my Telegram a bit later, because that's got copies of people who relied on my tweets. So some mixed up thing there, really. So anyway, I'm going to start. Oh, well, let's go first to the picture that's on screen at the moment. Because talking of giant objectionable characters who are trying to create something called the metaverse and don't know what they're doing anyway. There's a company called Meta out there somewhere. Anyway, our UK watchdog here is about to grill Meta. Yeah, a nice... Yeah, grilling is exactly what I should... Yeah, you know... It's sort of, a really overcooked Zuckerberger. Yes. Right, anyway, they're going to grill Meta. So, over child safety in virtual reality, because they've established that the children's code prioritises the best interests of young users, and they're anxious to determine whether Meta's headset and VR services do enough to protect the privacy and data of kids. So, but they're facing a lot of other things there. This would probably be greater news if it wasn't for the events in Drowning Street, where even the lifeboats can't find any drivers to go in to rescue poor Boris.
Yeah.
But and to top it all, he's still got a few days to go of quarantine, because he bumped into somebody who had it and he has to quarantine again. So
He re-upped.
yeah, he's probably grateful, because you can use the quarantining business as a way to stay away from the press for at least 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, when he gets in trouble when he gets back. So as I call, I've renamed. Well, in a few years, thanks to global warming, the Thames will probably flood anyway. But for the moment, I'm considering it to be number 10 Drowning Street, in need of lifeboats. Please, if anybody's got any. That is what I hear. So let's move on to other stuff. Now, talking of Philip Rosedale, right? This is probably the most pertinent sort of tweet from yesterday that he posted. Because he hasn't actually said that much since the releases to, announcing what was happening. But he says, Second Life has higher revenues per user than YouTube or Facebook, but charges fees for land and transactions instead of selling ads with behavioral targeting and surveillance. And basic access is also free. It seems possible to provide virtual worlds without causing harm, which I think is probably summed up where his thinking has been for a long while, actually, but is still going with his renewed involvement. So that was yesterday, Saturday. So it's not an old quote; it's a totally current one. Right, this is a picture of Philip. Um, God, his hair's almost as on end as mine is, but never mind.
Mm-hmm.
He is there with, I think it's Brad Oberman, who's basically one of the venture capitalists who are the new owners of Linden Lab, and just basically sort of posing together. I gather he's been around the lab the last few days. A number of Lindens have been communicating that sort of oh, it feels like old times again. I'm sitting on a desk across from Philip. And, yeah. Obviously, he's been very much welcome back. Anyway, so that's the. Well, as I say, he's still a consultant there, but it seems like he's going to be a major driving force. And it's hard to know whether the input he's putting on is being needed by Second Life, or whether it's he's come forward to Second Life with ideas, sort of depending on Second Life is very healthy in many ways, but in the grand scheme of things, especially with investors like Oberman involved, then maybe some people are saying it's not doing as well as it should be. So we'll find out as we go. Okay, so we got lots of them. Another picture there saying Pip's back. That's actually his original avatar, which was a sort of Pumi type thing, but he's had that remade recently as a mesh, so he still very much appears as his original form of avatar there. What was this one? Oh, this is impressive. I've yet to follow up where this was taken, but this is a foyer of a virtual event, and I was very impressed with the look of it. Um, I'm busy looking around for alternative TV studio places and things like that, so I'm not really sure where this came from. At first, I thought it was Second Life, but I'm no longer sure. So I'll have to double check that one. But nice.
Yeah, those reflections are kind of intense to be Second Life, but
yes, that's what I thought, and it just doesn't feel like science art for some reason, or science based. So who knows?
Yeah.
We'll investigate there a little bit. Um, okay, so oh well, that was apparently. I think that's all. Yeah, this is one from last week. Um, Quite a funny cartoon in its way. I am human, home to a trillion cells, part of living nature, part of the history of the universe. I'm creator of my own life. And of course, he is only that, virtually, obviously. Right, okay, so I'm going to put the pictures away because it makes life here simpler. And underneath, exposed for your delectation, is Guess Who? Sound effect, please. Oh, yes, that's a wolf howling because it's the Scar Ghost. And the formal title of his blog is The Ghost Howls. So it's actually a ghost howling, but I keep thinking it's a wolf. I don't know why. We need a wolf 3D thing for Ready Player Me. Never mind. Anyway, yes, so the actual website you want to go to, however, is relatively easy. scarredghost.com. If I can find where I put it. Yeah, there we are. SKARREDGHOST.com. And as always, at the beginning of the week, Tony publishes his week peak, which is basically a look back at the week gone by. Now, as I mentioned last week, not this week gone, but the week before that was CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show. And obviously, it was a bit flat this year, largely because of oh god, my money's going. Yeah, largely because of COVID and stuff like that. But there was some stuff happening there, and amongst the other things Tony does in this week's roundup is he looks at what he found going on at CES. He wasn't there himself, I gather, but he was keeping an eye on it all the while, I guess. So a lot of stuff from Sony about PSVR. HTC has a wrist tracker. Panasonic. Oh yes, I said. Yeah, that bad copywriting. Actually, Panasonic has a subsidiary called Shift Tool, SHIFTALL. And don't mix the F and
Don't
T.
mix the F. Right.
Actually, that'd be a great idea for Panasonic to do shitball. Anyway, a lightweight Steam compatible headset they've got. They reckon it's the lightest weight yet. OWO has got a haptic vest, which is a lightweight T-shirt, whatever. And oh yes, the WTF price goes again to before, which is an innovative mute-talk device. You put it in front of your mouth to have a better social VR experience. I guess they're just talking. Oh no, I better not say that word. Right. New rumors on Apple Meta. Nothing too astounding there, but sort of yeah, the Meta cancelled the operating system thing they were working on, which surprised a lot of people. But they probably didn't know how to build one. It wasn't based on Android. Everything else they do is based on Android. So poor old Zuckerberg, he hasn't got an operating system of his own yet. Right. More on Intel. Anyway, there's a lot here, but as I say, it's over a week old, so I will leave you to check out scarredghost.com and check out that post for Monday if you want his particular roundup of things there. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of our stuff in terms of for the week. I'm going backwards, simply because when I loaded these articles today, I thought I was doing something wrong. But I was loading them from so the most recent are at the top instead of the way I normally do it, where they're at the bottom. So I'm going to start with there's a few retweets and things, so it doesn't really matter which way we do it actually. Okay, now there's an article at medium.com today, and this is a direct link. I think it may have been Kent By who posted the link to this initially, and I followed it. But with virtual worlds being the actual thing of the metaverse this week, should we say? A couple of things looking back to the 1990s, which of course is how the next big thing fell into a virtual winter for 15 years. I'm not sure where they get the 15 years from. It's more like from mid-90s to mid-2000s, but anyway. So a little about some of the early tech. This one is Metaverse circa 1993, which will put it at 28 years ago, is that right? Yes, 28 years ago. So, good Lord, it's a cathode ray monitor.
Yeah.
Oh, they have been about, they have been about for a while, and look at the pixels on that. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, this is quite an interesting article. It's always good to look back on stuff like this. And I actually suddenly remember I'd forgotten all about this actually, but I guess I must have been reading a bit about it at the time, because oh, okay, well, there's a magazine there, which is not resin, as they say in the business. But a couple of pictures here, which are actually covers of magazines at the time, and I completely forgotten that there's something wrong with my bandwidth today. I'm sure of it because I'm not getting well. That's okay. Basically, I saw the cover of this magazine and I thought, I remember that. In fact, I had a quick peruse on my shelves to see if it's one, because I tend to keep these things. But the ones I could find don't really go back that far. And admittedly, in those days, any mention of VR and stuff like that, it was sort of, it was a magazine about VR in its own right, but you could tell it was very much pitched as an extension of gaming. Which were really the only things that used sort of virtual reality style graphics in those days, and were pretty crude at that. Anyway, just a really interesting article if you like a bit of history, and you will find this when I get rid of the. Let's quickly get rid of my notifications here because they're blocking my view. Right, do not disturb. There we are. So, this is at medium.com. That's actually all I've got on the tag. So, medium.com. It is, however, in the Twitter feed, the Mal Burns Twitter feed, that is. So, you'll be able to click on the link there and get straight to the exact page that this is at. Right, moving down again. Okay, something else announced at CES. And this has been covered at uploadvr.com this week, is Ultra Leap. They're the ones that make the Leap Motion stuff. Ultra Leap Gemini, their new one, same impressions on it and saying great hand tracking is coming. This is rather much more advanced than the Leap Motion I've got, and of course, ultimately, Ultra Leap can be made to work with for you if you wear a helmet, basically. You don't have to wear a helmet, by the way, for Leap Motion stuff to work. It can be quite useful, if you've got a flip book type thing on screen, and you want to flip to the next page like you would if you were reading a real magazine or whatever, you can use it for that. And any web pages that have too much width in them, you can scroll sideways with it. There's a lot of, as an operating system extension, but there's a load of other things you can do with them. Right, so basically Ultra Leap's 5th generation technology called Gemini is what they were showing at CES, and as far as I know, most of the components are already available now. If I recall, I don't use mine much because they're on an old machine, but I think I did download some new drivers for the actual old device, if you see what I mean. Right, okay. Leap Motion was acquired a couple of years back by a company here in the UK called Ultra Haptics, and they merged to become Ultra Leap. And Facebook shipped a software update, with Meta, I guess, shipped Facebook software update to. It's not Oculus anymore, is it? Quest.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, I think Mr. Zuckerberg is creating more of a problem from this in terminology than he realised. But never mind. Yeah, and there's a picture of what stands for Ultra Leap. Anyway, you will find that at uploadvr.com, which you're probably a familiar site because they do the videos each week. Although I don't think, if I remember, there was an early Monday one this week.
I didn't see one. There's one scheduled for next Monday, right?
Yeah, there was a gamey sort of one later in the week, but it seemed a bit boring to me. But that's just me. Okay, so that's uploadvr.com for that one. Right. Okay, now this one's interesting. This is cbc.ca. I think CA is not California on the web, is it? I don't know what it is, but CBC.
That's Canada now.
Yeah, Canada. Yeah, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. This is a bit like the BBC, but they're not British. They're modelled on the BBC. Yeah. Anyway, big tech has been going on about the metaverse for some time. And the unfortunate picture of the God Emperor at the top there, cringeworthy picture. But the metaverse has been around for decades, and the online world, Second Life, was referred to as the metaverse almost 20 years ago. Blah blah blah. Even online gamers in Fortnite and Roblox have been technically in the metaverse for years. So why all the hype now? Blah blah blah. They got quite a few quotes from Hamlet Hall here, he of New World Notes, and of course he used to be an embedded journalist in the early days of Second Life. But there's various quotes from him and whatever, and Hamlet's quoted as saying he sees the same potential in the metaverse that many saw in the original concept of the World Wide Web, where anybody can create content without needing the resources of a large corporation, sort of a level playing field. And I know that's additionally that's something Philip very much believes in. In fact, I remember he gave a lecture once that was filmed for this natural organisation which promotes the level playing field. I forget what their full name is, but it's very much part of that movement. So, if we wield the metaverse, will anybody come? cbc.ca. So good on Canada there, I guess. I'm moving down the Metaculture Code. This is a new site on me. Um, but they might be created especially for the job, actually. TheMetaculture.co, just code. And they cover the Linden Lab announcement, of course. But this is one of the best blogs about it. Actually, there is opinionated. They ask whether everything is as perfect as it seems. And just looking at my background now. No, there's nobody there at the moment. Right, okay. Heralding the return of a beloved hero to the ranks. Philip Rosedale is back as a strategic advisor to the platform. And the notice mentions investment towards long-standing virtual world as well as patents to be distributed to the company from Hi-Fi. It's not very clear what those patents will be, to be honest. I mean, Hi-Fi have quite a lot pertaining to virtual worlds and stuff, but of course, Hi-Fi's separate money earner at the moment are the audio patents. So whether they would actually give those to Second Life or license them, I'm not quite sure. Um, you'll find hi-fi audio in use from like other virtual worlds, like Science Space use it. Also, Clubhouse, the audio web-based app, also uses it, and it is used to being accommodating a lot of users. The drag, of course, in some ways, is that unlike Vvox, which Second Life use at the moment, and it's actually used in OpenSim, although less and less so because it's going to be costly ultimately for to use. Um, they work on the servers, so when you log in to the land, you find that the virtual voice, as it were, is usually on and powered by Vvox, although there are others in OpenSim like Mumble and whatever. The thing about high fidelity's audio is it has to be embedded viewer side with as an interpreter. So if Hi-Fi's audio was introduced to Second Life, it would be up to Second Life viewer or people like Firestorm to actually implement it. The nice thing, of course, is that if it was in something like Firestorm, the use could possibly be extended into OpenSim. And if there's any major changes made, to the asset server part of Second Life, for example, it may be that assets from Second Life could actually, for once, be shared outside Second Life. If they're going to use Second Life as a prototype for making a much wider interconnected universe. So who knows? Who knows what is there down the line? It would certainly be fun for people to be able to go and buy stuff in Second Life, and then, for example, wear it in, the hundreds of simulators that make up OpenSim. The permissions and stuff like that has to be sorted, and the creators of the items have to be paid. Some will want a separate payment for export permissions or stuff like that, but it can be done. And I remember asking Philip years ago at an interview. I think it was a virtual ability interview in Second Life, but I was filming and was asking questions at the same time. And I was trying to say, Philip, come on over to OpenSim. You've got to be interested in this, can't you? And he was. His only excuse for not to, and remember, he was CEO of Second Life at the time. His only excuse really for not doing that was at the time, he just felt there was the size of OpenSim and the way it was not expanding, so to speak. There was just no financial incentive to actually work on the infrastructure there. But who knows? Times do change. Yeah. So, yeah, my mind is wandering off as to possibilities there. We'll go to that. Certainly, the mixing of high fidelity technologies into things. For example, high fidelity and Vicadia and Tivoli even now work on high fidelity open code. Use the concept of a local server on your own machine for the jumping point into the actual world. And I must admit, I had a few problems getting into Sansar today for some very weird reason, but it reminded me that actually that's the case in Sansar. When you log in, you're logging into just one simulator that it's the same on everybody's machine. They've installed it as your base room, as it were. And anywhere you go in Sansar is jump onto the web from that room, or in the internet, if you see what I mean. So when you launch the software, you'll always land in your room, whether you're online or not, or whether the servers are working or not. If the servers aren't working, you can't teleport, if you see what I mean. So, but in a way, it's quite good because it allows people to work offline to create their own, be it a house, or they might just buy a house and download it onto their local machine. And things like that can be their entry points. And the more worlds and services that are integrated, the better. But we have yet to find out how this will pan out. But certainly this arrangement with High Fidelity and Linden Lab, or Linden Research, so to speak, is clearly a lot more than just Philip Rosedale returning. A great personality, though he obviously represents something to Second Life. So, okay. Right, well, the other quote from Philip, anyway. Big tech giving away VR headsets and building a metaverse on their ad-driven behavior modification platforms isn't going to create a magical single digital utopia for everyone. Or anyone, actually, I would have said. Second Life has managed to create both a positive, enriching experience for its residents with room for millions more to join, and built on a thriving subscription-based business at the same time. Virtual worlds don't need to be dystopias. I love this phrase. It isn't known directly what company Rosedale is referencing. But later on down, he gave another interview shortly afterwards, and he mentioned quite clearly who he had in mind. So, yeah. And also some quotes here from Brad Oberweger, who's the actual chairman of Linden Lab, rather than CEO of Second Life itself. And he and the High Fidelity team have unmatched experience and can't wait to capitalise on the vast opportunities in front of us. Blah, blah. Well, you say that, don't they? So it's all quite good. Okay. Anyway, the review says you can also read one way to someone who's never played Second Life or High Fidelity, and another way to people who use the lab services already. It needs additional information to make sense. So he says, let's go back and provide some. So they look at the history of all the acquisitions, investments, and stuff like that. And this is where they also mentioned Sansar as still being there, but it's noting at the time Sansar was sold by Linden Labs to Wookiee was about the exact same time that Linden Lab itself was acquired by Obergo and Waterfield. Rosedale mentions Facebook specifically in other interviews, as I said. Well, you have to really. You can't ignore that tosser, can you? Right. Does Linden Lab hope to face off against the metaversal media magnate and its original founder re-entering the picture as an advisor? Are the two corporations even offering the same type of product? No, they aren't. And Linden Lab has had a lot of challenges. High Fidelity has, it claims here, failed in its VR venture. Striking out with new tech too early without earning the player base it needed. So Sansar and High Fidelity, they're criticising there. On the other hand, Second Life has a hardcore and loyal user base, but it's also running on a dated engine which needs to revamp itself somehow before its digital citizens decide the next sparkly virtual world that pops up is worth more of their time. So, can Rosedale bring back the sparkle? before the competition find a way to sparkle themselves. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being facetious here. But anyway, there are a lot of issues here. And giving the grade, they're saying PR writing isn't easy, and sort of you've got to interpret what they've said as to what the intent is. The outlook is not as grim as it seems, they say. Um, Mentioned on CNET, there's hope that some very cool technology might be invigorating Second Life in a new way. Avatar facial motion capture, for example. And Rosedale muses for now, but if the tech is successfully implemented with webcams and phone apps, Second Life could make a strong comeback as an alternative to popular VTuber creation software. And this is interesting. I think I've got a clip on that, but I can't remember. Um, there is the suggestion that obviously people make machinima in Second Life, and we used to film not this program, but other programs in Second Life too. And the thought here is that Second Life could make a strong back as actually a platform for VTuber creation, which is becoming very big at the moment. Though arguably, most VTubing software is sort of fan broadcasting, but you do it from your desktop rather than from within a virtual world. But that's really a matter of choosing your screen. So, but of course, if you can sell the products to people and have them, avatars that are actually motion captured with webcams and stuff like that, and put that on the screen and film into, VTube, as they say, then yeah. If it's easy, it could maybe attract a new generation of players. They do point out that Twitch, of course, removes Second Life from their list of prohibited games, for example. If this happened, then Twitch might reverse their policy. But it's all got YouTube, so who cares about twitching things? It's not a good idea to have a Twitch. Go Twitch yourself, Twitchy. Right. Last question. But can Linden Lab believe in itself first? And press release is an example of their mindset. Achieving what's possible might be harder than first glance. Our recommendation is that the company no longer mention other entities on their missives and instead focus on the possible things they'll achieve from here on out. There's a lot to be excited for and plenty of loyal users still rooting for them. Focus on one's own and achieve the goal. In order to best others, you sometimes have to face off against yourself. So that is actually the only, quite possibly the only real post in the lot this week that actually really does its best to. It's not a long post, but it's doing its best to analyse what was in that press release and what it actually means. And as you can tell, they've got a bit of an opinion too.
A little bit.
Yeah. But, it's not like they're calling Philip a god emperor or anything, is it?
No, I think that's reserved.
That's reserved for the emperor,
That domain's been reserved, right?
Yes, yeah, well, maybe the Rebel Alliance will be led by Philip as we bring down the Dark Emperor.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the way to look at it. Yeah. Philip will lead the Renaissance and we bring down the Emperor. Right, okay, let's move on. As I said, that post, by the way, is the Metaculture Code, TheMetaculture.co. And I look forward to hopefully finding, I think I added them to my RSS feed when I got this, so hopefully I get a bit more articles there. It's always nice to have some opinion rather than droids just repeating the press releases, Anyway, moving on. This is arpost.co, and this is all about augmented reality smart glasses for the enterprise and consumers. And it's a conversation with Vuzix, who make them, CEO Paul Travers, I guess. This is another thing that was released at CES. And there are two smart glasses. One is for the enterprise, and one dipping its toes into the consumer side of the pool. So these guys at AR Post had a video call with the president and CEO to talk all about it, and they did. And there's a sort of a written roundup here, and a few pictures and stuff to keep you happy. Um, Especially if you're interested in this particular brand of virtual glasses. They are attractive to me, I must say. Um, but I think this is a model that really does. It really is limited to basic AR, um, although lightweight and everything else. So anyway, read all about it, as they say. What the guy in the corner says: read all about it. Read all about it. I should have a placard and go out on the high street. Read all about it. Tune into
Um,
Metaworld News every Sunday. Yes, right. Read all about it. No, watch all about it. Talk all about it. Yeah.
then you'd need a mask.
I've got a mask.
Oh, okay.
I've got lots of masks. I don't go out of the house without a mask. I'm not stupid. I know some people dare. So I certainly
Right,
don't.
right.
Yeah, no way am I taking the mask off. Anyway, that would be lethal at this moment. Look what happened. Boris said take your mask off, and now he's
Mm-hmm.
got it again.
Mm.
Not as bad as the first time round, but who knows? Okay, back to another normal one, which of course is Charlie Fink's roundup this week in XR at Forbes.com, and guess what's in the news this week? Somebody criticised this. Second Life Metaverse gets second wind. I think they were criticising it for the implication, but also it's quite funny if you think of second wind in reference to hot air. Letting off wind, but I know this is Charlie Fink, and anyway, it's there's nothing new here. He's just rounding out what was in the press release, and saying Rosdell could give the original metaverse, which they refer to it as, rightly so in many ways, a second life. It's not the original one, as we saw earlier. There was one going back to the mid 1993. That first one we were looking at earlier, but what the hell? In what sounds more like a business combination than an investment, High Fidelity will move several employees over to Second Life's parent Linden Lab, and Rosda already has a close relationship with Linden's acting CEO, Brad Oberweger. He's actually a friend of Philip's wife, I gather. So they go back a long way, long before the involvement with Second Life. Anyway, the 19-year-old metaverse, I wish they wouldn't say that, has experienced substantial growth during the pandemic. So, there has been growth on that level for Second Life. Importantly, the Second Life has a remarkable creative economy, an annual GDP of $650 million US, with 345 million transactions of virtual goods, real estate, and services. It's a lot of money anyway. Another company called Amaze, and I didn't have an eye link to this, but it wasn't showing up properly on screen, so I forgot about it. A company called Amaze have raised another, because they've been done this already. They've got another $15 million US to create virtual concerts. This is one of the ones that uses very high definition video and volumetric capture, to capture the real thing. So it can all appear in a kind of panorama and include 3D art and animation, bringing the excitement of a live show to VR. Users join as avatars and experience VR concerts together with friends in the same simulation. Well, yeah, good on them. They've managed to get a lot of venture capital, so they can go and have a party, can't they? I'm a bit cynical here. I mean, it says that they've now had a total of 30.8 million US dollars since the inception. They say you can experience VR concerts together with friends, but the important thing is after that it says in the same simulation, which implies that there will be one simulation that can contain all this audience without having to shard, which means sharding basically means bringing up multiple duplicates of the same scene, but with sharing them with different audiences, as it were, or different people in them. And when you've got an avatar, users join as avatars, that's to say that actually can, add up to significant, I won't say lag, but drag on, server capabilities and things rather than just a simple login. So, and it also reminds me of, there's one I showed off a few weeks ago. It was on the iPad, Stage something, I think it was called. And really, it works quite well, but basically they just took a panoramic high resolution film of a band and then put that panorama as a skybox, basically. And then they put avatars and objects inside that skybox. Basically just floors so you can you can appear to walk up closer to the stage and things. And some of these things are actually very good from what I've seen so far. The end idea being to bring, as I say, the excitement of a live show to VR. They're not there yet, but some of them are absolutely awful. Others actually do understand what they're trying to achieve, but I suspect it's going to be a year or two before they do achieve it. But there again, if it's just going to be concerts and things, it won't be a case of going into a big world like Second Life, for example, and then teleporting to a venue for a concert. This will be a standalone sort of operation where you will log in to the concert venue. The concert venue will be the space or the app or whatever. So, they can optimize, things for that. Whether that app will eventually have a doorway into the metaverse is another matter entirely. So, getting off key again. Right, more smart glasses get an innovation award. Magic Leaps, we mentioned a minute ago, and they're rolling out to healthcare companies as well, with a surgical software tool called Brain Lab. And Magic Leap 2 is slated for a more general release mid this coming year. Still at near $2,500, so not cheap. The Sad Cow Metaverse. What is Zuckerberg changed his name again to Sad Cow? If things go terribly wrong, the coming AI overlords might do this to people. Oh, that must be a link to. Oh, Kotaku. Okay, that's
does
a
he
link
click
to.
or does he not click?
Exactly. It's an article I obviously haven't read, so we can get there. This is kotaku.com, which is largely gaming.
Okay, I see what they're saying.
This is an old. It's a
Right,
new article about something quite old.
right.
Yeah, Turkey, they put VR headsets on cows. I guess they, you might say they're trying to milk them for all they're worth or whatever. Apparently, if they're happier in virtual reality, they produce more milk. So, quite literally, they're milking them for all they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
That was in Turkey. And, the folks in Moscow have got rather excited about it too. So, they were first tested in Moscow before making their way to Turkey. So, Putin's rejects have gone to Turkey. Quite a turkey of a. Would you pardon this turkey, please? I don't know. Let's get out of here. I didn't need to open that, and I did.
The rabbit hole beckons.
Indeed, it does. So basically, where we were before, I dared to click there, is Forbes.com, Forbes.com, and the second wind is on the first. It's the title of the article. If you go to twitter.com/Mal Burns, you'll find this article and you can click on it and go straight through. And that's my favourite photograph that went with any of these things, actually, for the looking good and over what's it? Over wager. Sounds like somebody who plays with money, doesn't it? Overwager.
No.
I'll wager this. Brad Overwager, anyway. He's just Overwager Linden, I think is his avatar name. Yeah. So, yeah, good little picture there to go with that. So I can now delete that. I've got back to the front page and move on to cnet.com. Now, this was cited in one of the other articles too. There've been an awful lot of articles about this, I might say. I mean, come Wednesday, you couldn't read about anything else. And it wasn't just the technical press, it was all over the place. But this was another one. This is at cnet.com, cnet.com. And again, they're saying it's not a new concept, etc., etc. The virtual place that people went to 20 years ago was Second Life. And now Rosedale has tasked a core team to work on evolving Second Life. Now that the metaverse has become a buzzword yet again, his hopes are to developing community-focused worlds like Second Life, and he does say worlds like Second Life, so I think he's not just back there for Second Life. Will solve some metaverse problems that aren't necessarily being solved in VR helmets. Well, headsets they call them there, yet. And a little bit about Philip there, and such like photos of Philip. Actually, is that? No, I think that's a photo. Never mind. I think it's a photo. Oh no, that's a Pride photo. I think it's Lyndon's as well. But anyway, yeah. The photo's credited to them. Okay, so Philip's going to be a strategic advisor with high fidelity, infusing Second Life with some new ideas, simultaneously working on other ideas for future tech, including at some point VR again. We're now seeing that we've shifted a group of 7 people, some patents and some money. We're investing in Second Life to keep working on Second Life, Rosedale told me. Now, the other thing I would point out is that reading the things here, it is fairly obvious that this is a move where the news is that High Fidelity is investing in Second Life and contributing patents and some bloke called Philip Rosedale. Right. It's not in any way a return of Philip as a CEO or whatever to Second Life itself. It's really an agreement to benefit both. But the impetus really seems to be that it's High Fidelity who are infusing Second Life, rather than Second Life giving anything particular to High Fidelity. Right, I'm not going to draw a rude parallel on that one, just to say. Yes, yeah, you get the idea. I don't repeat myself or coming up with metaphors that will get me banned. Right, the reason for the shift is that Second Life still makes money and still has considerably larger community than most VR platforms. It's had over 73 million accounts created since it launched and estimates that of active users hover around 900,000. Rosedale sees the shift as solving problems until VR hardware gets thorough thinking thought out, as he says. He doesn't think Oculus Quest is enough. Now, some people around here like their Quest helmets, don't they? Anyway, and he reckons the headset market is so broken it's going to take actually about 5 years to get something that's actually good. And of course, he said as a startup, we as a startup would need to survive, nor would it make sense for us to sit around for 5 years, which is pretty much what he said when he discontinued the virtual world component of High Fidelity. Just too much time and money and waiting around. He reckons Second Life will really get 100 people in a place at the same time, which I've never experienced myself. But I think he wants to be able to go above that, which would obviously mean, a rejig on the back end, really, so that, I don't know, maybe avatars could be made lighter weight and servers could be modified to actually handle more people at one time. Whether it was sacrificed fidelity visually and stuff, I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah, Rosedale wants Second Life to become more decentralized, but says it's a delicate balance to get right. Well, we can start by OpenSim. We can
How
you
about
can
that?
connect. You can connect to us, Pip. Right. What does it mean for Second Life? Hard to tell. Spatial audio could be in the mix, but also more advanced avatar animations using facial tracking with cameras. Using the webcam to animate an avatar is a really interesting in between. Philip says, not enough people are looking at that space, and that's one I spent a lot of time thinking about. Interestingly, I have actually used my webcam to animate my avatar. You can do it in Science Space now, actually, but in Second Life, many years ago. I think probably before we even had OpenSim. It was a particular event or stimulator where you had to log in, and they had to log you in with a webcam too, and whatever, and then put the two together. But it worked. What the strain on servers and back end stuff going on to enable it was, I don't actually know, but it's certainly quite possible. And one of the I can't remember who it was. One of the other luminaries from Second Life, not Philip, actually did work on a webcam plug-in interface that worked with Second Life too, which the animation side of the webcam mocap was rather slow, unfortunately. So anyway, asked about Second Life embracing NFTs and interoperable content, Rosedale remains skeptical. And I agree. I mean, we don't need non-fungible trash in Second Life.
Trash.
Well,
It went from trinkets to trash. Wow.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, it's trinkets and trash, but it's NFT and T's.
Mm.
Trinkets and trash. All right. Yeah. Anyway, do you want to take a Ferrari from Grand Theft Auto and drive it in Fortnite or Among Us? He asked, referencing how randomly dropping content into other experiences break the fourth wall of immersive experiences in a bad way. In the near term, amongst games, the idea of content interoperability is one of these things that only a brand could love. Second Life already has its own currency, which Rosedale considers stable as well as its own economy. So, content interoperability, however, has to be there for the whole thing to take off at all. As a way of further connecting games to each other, it's a total fail. The near-term idea is dumb. The long-term idea is totally correct. If it's validated by things like Roblox and Second Life, that's where there's a bazillion pieces of content that people have moved around from place to place. Rosedale sees Second Life own sellable content as being, in a way, like NFTs. But he also acknowledges loads of competition for virtual places, Roblox and VR chat, which he considers the most successful competing examples. Obviously, plenty of others. Anyway, another post that did actually a bit of interpretation rather than reprinting the press release. So that Philip seems to have made himself available to quite a few of them for spot quotes and things that weren't actually on the official release when it came out. So find that one at cnet.com, cnet.com. And don't want to hang around here too much. I said it could be a short show. I didn't say it would be. Right, moving on to Washington Post. I think you've heard of Washington Post, so another big newspaper. Yep. Right, this one does not feature Philip Rosedale, believe it or not, although it does follow us. Surveillance will follow us into the metaverse, and our bodies could be its new data source. This is the exact thing that they are reporting about, the exact thing that Philip doesn't want to see, and I don't think many people do, so good that the Washington Post is reporting on it. Virtual reality helmets learn more about you than traditional screens. That could be good news for creepy companies. Oh, creepy companies. That's an interesting expression. Well, have you ever heard of a creepy company, James?
Not by name, but
I
I
don't
can
know. So,
imagine it from how it sounds.
yeah, yeah. Well, creepy companies, yes, they survey you, and they do. They want to own your brain as well as your body and your bank
Brains.
account. Yeah, we want your brain in your bank account and anything else we can think of. And in return, you'll watch our adverts, which is the same thing. Yeah, okay, certain creepy companies are mentioned there by their newer names. And yeah, uh, even Bill Gates has weighed in saying he expects the metaverse to be part of our workplaces in the next 3 years. Well, Bill Gates has never been renowned for accurate forecasting, has he? In 1995, he said the web that would never take off, and by the end
Mm-hmm.
of the year, he had to re-release Windows in a second edition because it had. And then he released a book saying the way forward. Oh dear. So he's giving his well-earned money to good, ill-earned gains to good causes these days, I suppose. He's an old man now. Right. Digital rights advocacy, Electronic Frontier, and Extended Reality Safety Initiative are developing standards and advising lawmakers on safety in VR. Having raised the alarm on the privacy threats big tech is posing with its vision for, well, somebody's vision for a metaverse, put it that way. Anyway, yeah, loads to read there. And yeah, uh, intelligent reading. It's actually a good week for individual posts. Some very good reads in the slot I'm going through this week, as well as the ones that concern Second Life and High Fidelity. So that is WashingtonPost.com. Bit of a long L, but I'm sure you'll be able to remember that one fairly easily. Okay, TheVerge.com, TheVerge. Neurotech company will use Magic Leap 2 for dizziness. This is the Magic Leap, not connected with Leap Motion. They are bringing out a Magic Leap 2 headset, or rather, well, they're not glasses. They're closer to goggles, I suppose. If I needed to actually give them a word, but they're going to be working with healthcare partners, and apparently, um, they're interested in targeting vestibular disorders which cause dizziness, and apparently a lot of people, actually including me, come to think of it, do tend to get a bit dizzy when I've got a headset on. Um, Over and beyond the fact I can't stand being here for too long anyway. Um, yeah, will Magic Leap 2 have anti-dizzy anti-dizzy technology? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, if this is uh, well, it's looking at therapeutic things over and beyond dizziness. Federal Drug Administration authorization for VR therapeutics. One to treat lazy eye in children, and a second for chronic pain. So, the medical uses of VR as opposed to medicine in VR is being, getting quite a lot of interest. So, find this at theverge.com, TheVerge.com. And, yep, I'll put that one away. And move on to cesium or cesium.com, cesium.com. And yeah, they've again, well, this sort of came out about midweek too. Um, it says episode 7, but I've got a text version here. I think there's a sort of podcast link in this somewhere where it shows up here. Basically, looking at Roblox and scaling the metaverse. This is somebody called Morgan Maguire, a chief scientist at Roblox, and he's joined by Mark Petit at Epic Games, and they're discussing their research areas, including applied data science, user research, and scaling for the metaverse. And they are talking about what they consider the open metaverse here, now building the open metaverse. So they're not necessarily There are the companies or groups of people that aren't quite the big evil empire, and they're not quite open sim type, but OMI type open metaverse. But they recognise the need for a lot of open systems in order for whatever the thing called the metaverse turns out to be built in the first place. It's not going to be. It's going to have multiple components, and they're going to have to interact one way or the other. There's no doubt about it. Well, there'll be a lot of denial from the God Emperor, of course, but that's another matter entirely. Right, Copri, what me? Take me to court. What do you mean you are? I'll change my name. Then you'll have to file a new lawsuit against my new name. Yes. Clever I am. Clever I am. Right. I'm not going to read all this out. It's there's a lot of it. I don't mind summarising when there's a little bit, but not when there's this much. This is pretty serious stuff. But if you're a developer, and particularly used in the the research science behind all this, and it is virtual reality here, the open metaverse, and even Roblox. We are talking about the same field here. Then definitely want to read there. So you want SESIUM.com. And there is a series that goes with this. In fact, I'm going to toggle their website. Here we are. Yeah, you can actually listen to a 50-minute podcast too, which is called Building the Open Metaverse. And you can listen to that on Spotify, Apple, Google, or you can even get an RSS feed for it. So widely available there. So moving on. We often keep coming back to this site called How to Geek, HOWTOGEEK.com. And we already had a look at 1993 at the beginning of the show, and now we're going to look at 1995. Remembering VRML. I told you there's a bit of history in this show. This one don't move. Well, it did at the time, but I mean, it was elementary. But I actually admire this recollection of VRML. Didn't even have that amount of detail. It tended to have the building detail, but not things like chairs and desks. Whether you could even sit on them, I don't know. But anyway, in the early 1990s, futurists and corporations combined forces to create VRML, virtual reality modeling language. And basically it heralded the dawn of what we're now all calling the metaverse. And so this article tells you what it was and why it didn't work out. Although I would say you can still find websites with VRML authoring on top of the HTML. And they've advanced quite a bit. They're a bit out of the mainstream now, but in a way, WebXR and all these other technologies are trying to bring virtual environments onto the web. Have almost sort of come full circle, and I don't know. There might be a space for an upgraded VRML, and sort of future the way Mozilla Hubs works, for example. But who's it? We don't know. But anyway, if you want to read about it, the history and everything that brought us about, here we go, and plenty to read in that article. So remembering VRML, you'll find this article at howtogeek.com. So HOWTOGEEK.com. And we have another connection there to history in the video section coming up as well. Right, best AR and VR news from CES. This is a roundup of all the news from CES that he didn't cover in the Monday edition of the XR Week Peak. So, sound effect please for Tony. There we go. So this is really a special XR Week Beat, really, that just looks at the AR and VR news that did come from CES 2022. And as I've said a few times, it was fairly thin on the ground this year, but there was still enough of it to warrant a roundup. And if anybody knows how to do roundups, it's Tony Pitillo. Vitilo, sorry. It's got a ghost. And yeah, it's a good job web pages aren't made out of paper or might be, imagine this is in a printer, you'd run out of paper before you get to the end. Hey,
My
yeah, good
goodness.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah, good stuff there. So if you want a good roundup, as I said, high quality links this week, just in terms of good reads about various things you might be interested in. So skardghost.com, and that's a K, by the way, SKARREDGHOST.com. And finally, yes, we had to bring you a voicesofvr.com, didn't we? I mean, how many was it last week? It was about
Oh, wow.
15 all
Right.
in one week. So this week you only get one, although Kent By has appeared in a few other places too. Who gets around this guy? This is number 1043. And it's an interview with a philosopher called David Chalmers, who has a book called Reality Plus. Change how you see reality. VR is a genuine reality, and we can't prove we're not in a simulation anyway. Yep. Good old theme. Now, I love these philosophy themes. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that we're in a in a simulation, but I'm not saying it's impossible, and a lot of scientists agree. Right, the book releases on January 25th, which is about a week, well, just over a week from now. But anyway, we've got access and interview about the things in the book. Very little in the summary there, but obviously, if you you'll find Voices of VR posted all over the place. But there you are. Um, come on, come on. I want to tell my viewers how long you are. There we are. 1 hour 32 minutes. Okay, so you got a nice listen if you want to go over to that. Right, put that one away. Hello. So put you away. Right.
Hmm.
Bit slow today, aren't we? Right, vrscout.com. Again, healthcare connection. Patients can now use a Vive Flow. There's a Vive Flow, the sort of goggles cum headset thing that the lady is wearing now while she's in her tantric pose and chanting Om or whatever she's doing. You can access healthcare in VR with the Vive Flow. HTC is bringing physical therapy, occupational therapy, and pain management treatments to the metaverse. Well, they had to say the metaverse. Of course, they did. HTC Vive is partnering with XR Health in the form of virtual medical rooms where patients can receive physical therapy, occupational therapy, and pain
Mm.
management pain management treatments. Where's my liquid? My cold coffee, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just stumbling over my words today, aren't I? Right. Okay, so this actually was another announcement from CES too. So find out more about it at vrscout.com, and we'll just give this a little click to see if it's. No, we won't. Okay, that's a video of their launch event. I don't have that otherwise posted anywhere, but it's actually 20 minutes long. I found out when I clicked it. So it's a bit off centre to feature on this show, but you better get it at vrscout.com's page, and if I grab it again, I might embed it on the Mastodon feed, which is coming up next. Well, nearly next, I should say. One more standard post to go. This is a post from the Guardian newspaper here in the UK. TheGuardian, and yeah, they prompt you, to subscribe and stuff like that, but they're not actually behind the paywall, so you should be able to read it. They're actually looking at Roblox, not from the dev point of view, but the trouble with Roblox, the video game empire built on child labor. This is obviously quite serious. Basically, I mean, you could argue, Second Life had a teen grid at one point in time, but it was even that was teens. It certainly never had kids running around. But one of Second Life's models was, of course, that you could go in there and use the tools in there to make objects and share those objects and play games together if you were a gamer. Um, and this girl Anna at 10 used Roblox, like a child from the previous generation would have used cardboard boxes, marker pens, and stuffed toys to build a castle or spaceship. I remember doing that. I used to hoard cardboard boxes and make them into stages, and then use lights and things to make a stage sets. Okay, that's a long while ago. Right. God, it's a lifetime ago, quite literally. Right. One difference, Roblox hosted Anna's tiny world online, enabled children she had never met and maybe lived thousands of miles away from her home in Utah to visit and play. Roblox provides child-friendly versions of professional software, and Anna also began to learn the rudiments of music composition, computer programming, and 3D modeling. Game making became an obsession, and when she wasn't at school, Anna was rarely off her computer. But as she became more proficient, her work caught the attention of experienced users on Roblox, basically the professionals. And guess what? They had no intention of paying her. Where, okay, wait a second. No, they did pay her at first. At 16, she had a monthly income somehow exceeding her parents' combined salaries, and calculated that she was on the course to earn 300,000 US dollars a year, a salary equivalent to a highly experienced programmer. And she cancelled her plans to go to college. This is all fascinating. Okay, this all happened while Roblox itself was a relatively obscure piece of educational software. But this is all, I'm trying to find a way to summarize this basically without reading everything all the way down. It adopted a slogan, make anything reach millions and serious cash. That sounds like those Facebook ads, doesn't it? Where they, well, it would be, but so, hey, follow this link, make a lot of money for nothing by investing, such and such. Okay, now Roblox company sells at a rate of about 80 Robux. They're called to the pound. That's the UK, of course. Exchange varies depending on the amounts. Roblox taking 30% cut from each sale of, say, virtual sunglasses or a sports car. Basically, the thing here is it's all adding up, and in most cases, Roblox are getting rich on their users, many of whom are children, underage, and not actually really making the advertised money that originally they could have done. I find this is all very difficult because you do need some sort of creative ability to do all this stuff. Again, as we discussed earlier, Second Life is profitable, and up to the point it's got to. And Linden Lab do make commissions on the sales of virtual goods. On the other hand, to join Second Life, you have to be over 18 anyway. I think it's 18, and I don't sort of know what you're doing. So there's not. I'm sure there's masses of exploitation for newbies and things in Second Life, but you do need to be, shall we say, have an adult understanding of what you're doing in the general sense. So Facebook got a lot of criticism early on with things like Farmville and stuff like that. They were kids were raiding the credit cards of their parents and spending fortunes on silly little virtual things that I don't know, paying $5 a time for 2 pixels. I really don't know. It's a worrying sort of thing. But it's a good thing, that the Guardian have actually raised this to show that Roblox are not necessarily squeaky clean, as they might say. And of course, these are one of the ones that are talking about building the open metaverse. Um, so, um, yeah, nothing more there. Well, another worthy read. A bit of a depressing read, to be honest, but basically the idea is young developers on the platform are being used, by the corporation there. So that is the last one for this week, and next we move to the video department. Okay, this is my feed. The audios are on Twitter too, but this is actually my feed at mastodon.social and /@ symbol Metaworld. And you can play them from the embed, or you can click through to find out where the real things from YouTube or wherever else have come from. And we are going back in time still, right? This is an interview surfaced of Terence McKenna. And again, this is somebody who was talking about the metaverse, as we would now call it, I guess, or virtuality in his case at the time. Again, back in the 90s.
I think that the technical community deserves a huge amount of credit for creating virtual reality, but that the moment has now come to bring in the playwrights, the artists, the designers, the architects have already been involved, but people in the arts need both to be informed that this is going on, and they have to bring their insights into this community. Otherwise, as one of the speakers said tonight, we're in danger of seeing it just turn into three-dimensional computer games.
Well, it's always interesting to go back in time, isn't it? Terence McKenna was one of the initial advocates of virtual reality, along with Dr. Timothy Leary, he of the LSD fame. Leary, in fact, actually thought that, virtual reality had the potential to replace LSD as a mind-expanding drug. Terence McKenna, I think, was a little bit more moderate. But it's just 12 minutes long, so it's not a huge watch, but it's really quite interesting that, he's actually, taking the vision, the idea of virtuality, and saying, it's got to be the artists and, the creators that will make this, and it sort of harkens forward, as it were, to a couple of the things we've already been discussing today about, what will the metaverse be? Will it be a thing where you bump into an ad every 2 meters, or will it be a place of art and creativity and open metaverse? So anyway, interesting one there from Terence McKenna. A bit offbeat there. Between Realities this week, which is one we don't promote enough really, but this week they actually interviewed themselves, Kent By, of Voices of VR. So it's an interview with him. Obviously, I also did one of these myself a year or so ago. This is quite a long one. It's 2 hours long once you get past the pygmy thingy at the beginning.
Everyone, welcome to Between Realities for the 3rd time, Mr. Kent By.
There he is.
Hello, sir.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me back, Alex and Skiva. It's great to just come back and talk about not only the potentials, but also the perils of the technology and what the ultimate potentials are, and also the philosophical implications, which is also, I think, an interest that we both share. So I'm excited to dig into all sorts of things today.
Okay. This, I think, broadcast the evening before. It says 2 days here. I think this was before the news about Philip Rosedale and High Fidelity broken, because they didn't, in my recollection, they didn't actually cover that, and I think they would have done. Awful lot of the so-called VR YouTubes and things this week have mentioned that, because even if they don't deliver our sort of news normally, then this week there was no question what was the major thing in the news. Now, Sharon Lanier also got the father of VR, apparently warned us about Meta being the God Emperor's empire, of course. And again, this is an old regurg. This is 7.5 minutes.
Jaron Lanier, widely considered the father of virtual reality, is not a fan of social media. He's not on Facebook, not on Twitter or Instagram either. All you can find in terms of his personal digital media is a website that looks like it was created in 1990.
And probably was, to be honest. Very interesting thought. I mean, that's an opinion piece there, really, but amazing man. But yeah, he sort of is a father of VR, but he's a computer guy. You know, he works for Microsoft, for one thing. He's not really the creative or the one who would think of the art or the social aspects of VR. He's very much the technical. Oh, VR, 3D. It's 3D online sort of thing. So he's done a lot, but I mean, you know, he doesn't. I don't think he'd say he was a creator or an artist in any way. His vision thing was really along the lines of the technology. But as the commentator said there, early on, he did warn of the kind of use of VR that Meta, for want of a better word, are engaging in these days. The trouble is, I'm not quite sure where.
Defining the behavior of the people in the box will have absolute power to bend the world to their will.
Yeah. Well, the commentator there is quoting him, of course. So it's interesting. It's only 7.5 minutes. So once you're about 3 minutes in, you're starting to get to the pertinent points there. Right, moving on down. Beginning of the week for this one. This is an electric stimulation haptic shirt. Oh, there you go.
Hey everyone, this is Skivo of Between Realities, and I am here at CES 2022 with OWO, a new haptics company that I have never heard of, but I'm excited to check it out. And we have Shayna here with us, and we're just going to ask a couple questions. How you doing?
Really good. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about the product and how it may differ from other solutions like Behaptics and Tesla Suit and stuff like that?
Okay, so we're a sensations technology, and that's right now applied to the vest, but it could be applied to anything. And what we do, what makes us different, is that we create different physical sensations. So let's say Behaptics, they use vibration. We use trains of pulse, so those are electrical impulses, and that means that we can modify the wave. We can modify 9 parameters of the wave with our algorithm, and create sensations that are really different from each other, like a punch, which stimulates a whole muscle, or a dart, which is really precise. And yeah, I could give you loads more examples. We've got over 30.
Wow, that's so cool. So I think the biggest question people are going to have with something like this is how do you implement something like this? And do you have many games implemented at the moment? And what are some of those titles?
Okay, so it's really easy to implement. We've done it as simple as possible for VR developers in general. So we've got SDKs in Unity, Unreal Engine, Godot, C++, and C#. And the way to do it is you just introduce it in the engine, and choose a sensation and the muscle each time you want there to be an action with a sensation. And it's compatible with VR, but also PC mobiles. And compatible games, for example, we've got Contractors, we've got Neos, we've got...
Neos, woo!
Okay. Well, there's more of that if you click through to YouTube or whatever. Either the interviewer is astonishingly tall or the person who's interviewing is astonishingly small. I don't really realise the discrepancy in the height of those two. Not being rude or anything, it's just stood out quite a bit. There we are. In fact, he's so tall, he's almost out the camera range. Okay. Shouldn't be commenting on stuff like that. For some reason, we've got that twice. And January the 6th, the Motley Fool. Oh, so that's an old one. Right, Upload VR, or the VR download, whatever you want to call it, didn't appear to happen this week, but is due to be returning tomorrow, I guess, being Monday or Monday, Tuesday sort of thing. Yeah. And also, apparently there was a video version of Charlie Fink's thing, but I can't find it anywhere on YouTube. And the link it was given for it was OR, the Augmented World Conference people. They got a new site called OR Live. But when I went there, I couldn't find a recording or anything to replay there either. So maybe it went out live on OR, but didn't get recorded and can't be replayed. But there's no sign of it anywhere. So I really don't know what's happening there. But there again, it's really only it doesn't really offer that much more than what we do here, probably considerably less, but with a slightly different focus, which is what makes it worthy. So that's all the videos here. Now I'm going to do something a little bit offbeat here, sort of offbeat, is I've got two things that I published today on Metaworld News, twitter.com Metaworld News. The first one, I put bull in front of. A couple of people replied with exclamation marks, so I had to reply again. As I said, bull. There are more ruder words available. This thing claims to be the first ever live TV show experience in the metaverse. From Archaea Metaverse. Now, the thing is, it does look good, except there's nobody in it. You see what I mean? Let's just throw this through to YouTube, and you'll see what I mean. So this would take a while, because I'm not... Okay, well, I think you've seen enough of that. What's odd is that there's no avatars in it. It says Late Night Show with David. Now, on their actual site here, they've got about 3 or 4 more of these films showing different environments. And I think really what they're doing there is showing off a TV studio. And like the other environments they're showing off, presumably these are places you can come. It does actually say here, like, Revolution Entertainment, stream your live shows seamlessly and invite your esteemed guests and audience for the best reality show. Now, I think I might check this out because it might be a useful platform for what we do with shows. It depends, it's worth checking everything out. I'm not sure, I don't know what the reference to NFTs is. And I really do have to take arms with the first ever live TV shows experience. I mean, there is nothing first ever about this at all. But, well, maybe they can be, maybe they just come into this thing blind. They haven't even checked whether anybody else has done it. It won't be the first time.
Nope.
Sort of, and it won't be the last. But anyway, as far as they're concerned, on the 13th of January, which was 3 days ago, they were the first ever live TV show, except it wasn't a show. It's just this studio footage. Anyway, we will look at that. But there's another one here, another one too, called the Metaverse Push. Now, this is Hiatus TV, Hiatus TV. Now, this is an hour-long
In
show.
the year 2022, we are collecting Metaverse podcast data to the solid-state drive.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Hiatus TV, a podcast where we're going to be talking about all the kind of stuff in the world, and the metaverse, and NFTs, and anime, and movies, and everything that's cool. I'm your host. Yeah, I'm your host, Sison, and this is my co-host, Kago.
What up? Yo.
Doing good?
I'm
doing great, man.
How are you doing?
Okay, well, this is 56 minutes long. I'm going to skip through a little bit to give you an idea. I didn't actually watch the whole thing myself, but I've known worse, put it that way. So we'll skip through a bit.
Yacht club, chilling in my my apartment.
It's like, what are you doing, Randy? That's Eminem's thing.
Yeah, I didn't really want it anymore.
I just picked it up. Yeah. I love VR. I use it when I can, but it's like I'll go in there, play a bit of Beat Saber, hop on here, hop into the studio, hang out with you, chat with you, but it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, you're.
Oh.
Okay.
That looks like it finishes a lot earlier than it looks. Okay.
It's something I didn't think.
Quite interesting, actually, that this is called Hiatus TV. So I guess it's going into the metaverse on hiatus, which is another way of looking at going into the metaverse or going into whatever world it is. I think this may be VR chat. I can't be
Looks
sure.
a lot like VR chat. Yep.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Hang on. Sison and Keiko taught Disney's metaverse, VR chat, and the metaverse push in this first recording. So they certainly talk about VR chat. It may be, could well be. It's got that flavour to it, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Absurd avatars all around, basically. I am so cool. Right, okay, so those, as I say, the links to those you won't find in my Mastodon one, actually. These are actually direct embeds over at twitter.com/Metaworld News. And looky here, they're all open in tabs. Right, so we're back there. Okay, I think that was it. Oh, here's something nice. It will be nice when it opens. Ooh. Yeah, here we are. I should have had this open at the on my other picture screen. This is
Is that centered? Yeah. There we go.
No, it's yeah, exactly. Vicadia, which actually is one of the it's an open source world being developed on the source code of High Fidelity, the actual world code. Next Sunday, as a rendition, I think it's only a one-off performance, or twice in the same day, of a VRistmas carol. So it's a Ristmas carol. I don't know what the hell they're doing with it. I know Dr. Brown and a whole load of the people at Vicadia are involved with it. You get the feeling that this is something they wanted to do at Christmas and that the rehearsals have taken a bit longer. Anyway, it's next Sunday, the 23rd, being as it's 16th today. These are Pacific times, so 1:30 p.m. Pacific is tick. Actually, it will sort of overlap with our show. Our show is 12 p.m. Pacific, so we'll be 90 minutes in when it starts. But there's another performance at 9:30 p.m. 10:30 p.m. for Western Europe, which it will be well after this show next week has finished, is what I'm trying to say. And also Put the picture away there. Okay, this is Thursday's blog for the Hypergrid Safari, and this is called Open Seasons. hgsafari.blogspot.com. So hgsafari.blogspot. Sure you can spell that .com. And there's just a record of the first real safari that happened on Wednesday, meeting up at the safari place and heading on over to a hunt called Mandajalia or whatever. Forget where it was. It was open especially for the safari, and I think it will be gone now. But there was a second one too, which was on the Royals soon. This is the one that always reminds me of Sonic the Hedgehog. But it's all wintered over at the moment. And they have a fishing game going on there.
Because it is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
That's why it reminds you of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, yeah, sorry, is what I mean. But in fact, there is nothing overtly Sonic the Hedgehog about this particular location in the snow. It's actually a fishing game, and you fish for. It's very complex because the fishing rods recharge and all they do. I didn't manage to grab a single fish.
Oh.
And apparently, even if you miss the fish, there is a likelihood on occasion you will actually get an old boot and stuff like that. I think only one person managed to grab an old boot, but I couldn't get
reality. Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't get to grips with my fishing rod at all because you don't move the fishing rod. You simply say start fishing, but then you see a cut and progress bar, and you have to avoid going into the red. And you have to slowly drag the fish from the right side of the bar to the left, which is the direction you don't think of. And when you get to the left, the complete left all the way, then you catch a fish or something. It may not be a fish, it may be an old boot. But getting the fish, getting the bar on the fishing rod to the right thing without going red, because if it goes red, it's like an overheat and it quits. And if it loses its colour, which is the opposite effect, it quits too because there's no power left in it. It's an odd sensation because fishing rods, you're not used to having to gauge the power in a fishing rod. But anyway, it was quite fun. And but I ended up running away and driving Thursday and Co around in a boat. Yeah, there we are. You just grab the arrow keys. Oh. Run around in the boat. Oh yeah, and Joyce Bessencourt from Abergone there took a turn. That's just an animated gift. There's nothing worth playing there, so to speak. And so that was a roundup of that week. There's a few others in Metaworld news, but as in Mal Burns Writers Feed, which they're more basically to do with Linden Labs and that. So where am I? I think that's. Oh, I do have my actually offline video player. If there's anything in this. Oh, this is. Can't remember where this is. This is closed in 3D. This I found rather attractive because anything to do with literature and books. There's just a silent little exercise here. An installation somewhere. Cute. I love the area, the village on the book, so to speak. Just some of those interesting things you can do in these kind of spaces. Close the sphere, right? So I guess we're seeing it from a greater height there. I wish I had some notes handy or had seen something to make a note of actually where it is, but anyway, just moving camera there really. This is from the virtual world called Sensorium. They've got a thing called a starship. No, this is not the final episode of The Expanse. Looks a bit like it.
Yeah.
So interestingly, all the avatars there look like they're sort of Silver Surfers.
Yeah.
But I didn't. If you look closely, there is actually, I don't know whether they've got costumes or something, or they're just dressed like that for the clip. But you can tell the males and females apart. All that anatomy is correct, by the way. So maybe they're just wearing Silver Surfer type costumes. But anyway, it's a nice looking, sounding.
Nice build, yeah.
Yeah, nice little clip there. Introducing video in live rooms. Go, hang on. That's not the right one. There we go. Oh, pretty pretty. Right. I'm not sure. I thought they were going to tell me what world we were in there. But oh yes, yes, of course I've got it.
Sensorium.
No, it's IMVU. That one.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Which is interesting. It's very like Second Life. I've always thought that, although much younger demographic. But be it Second Life, OpenSim, or IMVU there. I mean, the idea that you can just put up a TV screen and put YouTube videos on it and actually watch them with friends who can do it on the web. There's plenty of software now that allows you to share watching a YouTube video in real time. So instead of 5 individuals watching it just at YouTube, one of them can actually synchronize it so all the friends see it at the same time. They're down to the microsecond. But it's a nice idea to have a room and a TV screen in it. I mean, I remember in the early days of Second Life, I used to spend a whole lot of time lounging around in one of our rooms, watching major shows like Metanomics. We were actually partners for anyway, so we had to show it in the hub. But there'd always be little things you could just listen to in your own time, and there's just something about 2 of you sitting watching them together in a virtual world, and you could talk about them while they're on, sort of thing. I suppose you do it via the web too, but it's just the idea that you can share things in world. There's another virtual world thing called Janus VR, and they've done this very short thing. I'd say about 5 seconds or something, demonstrating their portals. Now I don't quite know how this works, but basically, unlike say OpenSim or Second Life, where you might have a gateway and you would click on it and teleport through it to a different region elsewhere, this actually shows you the regions elsewhere as you're without a door, and it's very disconcerting. It's like a McGree painting or something, where damn well that if it extends a bit to the right, it can't possibly the thing that be the same as what comes up on the right. But I think you'll see what I mean when you see this. You see what I mean? It really doesn't quite make sense. You've got these fleshed out 3D worlds. And I'll just play it again quickly. You can see how it's odd because you just know they can't be there. But
if you've played the video game Portal, it's pretty familiar.
Yeah. Right. Okay. But I haven't played, so
there you go.
I looked at it. And this one, I think this is. Okay, that was a Fantasy Flower Show, and I think that's a hangover from last week's list, actually. Right, we're done. But it's I can still frame it on there, and we've got something nice on screen, haven't we, to go out with. James, unfortunately, we weren't as short as we hoped, but we're still 10 minutes short of 2 hours, so it could be worse. Your thoughts on any of this?
I wish I had been to the safari. It looks really good, and my employer required me at work that day, but I sure
I
plan to
figured
go the
something.
next time that I can. Yeah, it looked fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting talking about Magic Leap. I've been helping my father with a flight simulator on the Xbox, and buying peripherals for that. And I've seen someone use something like the Magic Leap, so that when they're looking at a 2D screen, if they turn their head, it can turn the view inside the aircraft, which is I'd never seen that set up before, and it looked quite interesting actually. And so
Does it,
again,
does it,
using a 2D screen but getting a little more of an immersive 3D experience without goggles and such.
right, so the Magic Leap isn't behaving as a headset, it's behaving,
Yeah,
you
it's
know, a 3D environment. It's an effect thing on a monitor.
correct.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
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 I get
quite
it.
interesting.
Oh,
So it's
yeah,
always interesting to see them. They're still there. They're still working on it.
it's so yeah, because there's no. How come he chose? Was your father in the Air Force or something like that, or was it
Yeah,
just?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the choosing the Magic Leap isn't the cheapest of options anyway, so that is quite a dedicated. Actually, I'm thinking of getting that flight simulator because you can go anywhere, can't
You
you?
really can. Yeah, yeah. It's quite
For
wonderful,
$100 or whatever it is.
especially if you don't
I
want
just
to own an airplane.
well, yeah, I think aviation fuel is one of the definite no goes in the future, unless
Yeah.
it's absolutely essential. And if you can fly there, I'd love it if you could just fly in a flight simulator and then sort of land at some private airport or something, and then get out and be in Google Street View. But
Yeah, yeah.
a
If
much richer Street View, and then maybe navigate to my local high streets, and then either go into my own home, which I could
That'd be
decorate,
wonderful. Yeah.
or the whole idea of the mirror world, really.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, that would be
just as
wonderful.
just as valuable to me, because everything we talk about in metaverse terms and stuff, except possibly for the AR component, is really these are worlds of fiction. They're not necessarily stories that like an adventure, because we create a lot of them are things we create ourselves. But the thing is, they're not in any way. Um, they can support reality for holding meetings and things like that, but you can't realistically walk around in them and be in another place, feel like you're in another place in the real world. So I think eventually mirror worlds will be, or a mirror world will be, something to write home about.
Yep.
Um, imagine I could get in a plane now, take off from London, fly across the Atlantic to Michigan, yeah, and pop out and visit you, walk down your street, and then knock on the door.
Yeah, yeah.
You let me into your virtual environment, or vice versa for that
Yeah.
matter. I mean, who knows? We might not be able
Well,
to travel anywhere
I've
in the
walked
future.
past your home in Google Street View several times.
Yes, yes. Actually, come to think of it, yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you can't do much, so walk past
I
it.
can't go up those 5 flights of stairs. No.
You are not missing much there.
Ouch!
If
Ouch! Ouch!
you want that kind of exercise, you'd have an easier job visiting Mount Everest.
Oh my goodness.
If you can get up Mount Everest, you could. That's good practice for my stairs.
That would be good practice. All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Any thoughts on the Resdale? Move
Oh,
for-
just exciting news. Looking forward to see what is going to come of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's going to be it's going to be an influential change on Second Life, as well as new use for high fidelity spec.
And I know you mentioned it, but we do have a bit of a crisis in Open Simulator with voice software. So if anything could come of that, it would be wonderful.
Yeah, I had discussed that with Adam Frisby, oddly enough, because he implemented it in Sciencebase. But the problem is, it needs to be in the viewer,
Right.
unlike VVox that works on the land. But interestingly enough, if it is in a viewer, presumably it would just, you wouldn't, an individual region would not necessarily have to have permission. I don't really know.
Yep.
But obviously it uses the viewer software and High Fidelity's server software, and they're linked somehow. So it still costs High Fidelity to run the servers that power it. But yeah, it could be something nice.
But I'm confident there are brains much more powerful than mine working on it. So.
Yeah. The other thing like it is, look at the way Adam implemented it. He hasn't. It's not fully implemented all through Sciencebase. But it is in the. I can't remember the bit of Sciencebase, the break room. That's it, where it's go for all the meetings. But as I understand it, it could be. You could maybe have a viewer that's a custom viewer, like a custom version of Singularity or something that, like the conference used to have, that would have the voice facilities embedded in that viewer. So it will become a particular thing just for the conference rather than, for hypergridding around. But I don't know. I'd have to check on the details of that. But I got the impression from Adam that as long as you knew the way it had to work, it was very, very simple to do. But again, it depends on there's still some of the stuff you have to contract High Fidelity to control, I think.
Yep. So that's it for me.
Yeah. And for me, I think all too emotional and exciting it was this week.
Yes.
So that said, we will be back with our normal boring show next week.
Oh.
Well, maybe not. Who knows? Who knows what may happen? Drowning Street may actually sink. The Thames may flood. A tsunami may hit London. Or the lakes up at your way.
Yeah. All right. That would be a surprise.
Yeah, actually, well, I suppose if an asteroid landed in one of your lakes, you'd have a tsunami.
Oh, that would be a mess. Yes.
But but it's not. You don't have. You're not. You wouldn't get You wouldn't get an ocean tsunami there, would you? Because the lakes don't connect. Yeah. I'm trying to remember my maps of them.
Geography, right?
Yeah, because I was up that way, but I never got as far as the Great Lakes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So time to go. Right. Well. Let's see if we can get ourselves in sync, because we're talking about MR, but also AR and VR and XR. But moreover, whatever we're talking about, there's one thing you can be certain of, and that is that we
are.
Yes, indeed. We too is what, on this show at least. Right, okay, so thanks for watching, everybody. We will be back same time, same place next week. You can, of course, go to my channel on YouTube, Mal Burns on YouTube, to watch replays at your heart's content, both this program and other stuff that's up there. And until next week, I wish you all a safe time. Be careful. Work from home. Wear a mask if you're anywhere near another person. And just stay safe and chill out. And if you get bored, because it can be a bit boring being locked away on your own, can't it? But there is a solution, and it's called virtual worlds with Second Life, OpenSim, Sensor, Sciencebase, you name it. There are plenty of places you can go online and join other people and do activities and stuff like that. And if you're around on Wednesday, you can jump over to OS Grid, which is one of the many hypergrid-enabled platforms in OpenSim, and go to HG Space Safari on the map and join in our weekly travel around interesting things. Yes, almost forgot to plug that. Sorry further, but I remembered in the end. Okay, everybody, stay well, sleep well, stay safe, and jump into virtuality if you can. You won't regret it. Bye for now. Woo-hoo.